Greg's back from the Concord Food Co-op. Air conditioned in there today?
Oh, yes. Yeah. No need to step outside today. I'll just be happy in my little office.
Are you weather sensitive for stuff like this? When it gets hot, do people stay away or do they come in?
I think everybody slows down.
Do they?
Yeah. I think retail in general is a lot slower on very hot days.
Mm-hmm.
Hot days, cold days. If it's not, it's not perfect weather. It's not shopping weather.
Okay, July, gluten-free July. You could sample items. Hello, Miss Sample Queen.
We'll put her on after the break, and she can talk about her sampling and next month's sampling.
Oh, what's next month's sampling?
Well, that's after the break.
Yeah, there we go.
We got them on teasers.
That's right. That's perfect.
Wow, this is great.
We're spreading the radio thing.
We're going to talk. We were in a promo. We were talking about doing TikTok. TikTok. Going to do TikTok this morning. Julieann Hartley.
Hey.
What do you sing to the ticks?
Oh.
No, okay. No. Local musical therapist.
No, I just drown them? I burn them?
We have tape. We have
You
a roll
like
of
tape them all
Scotch
up?
tape.
Yeah.
And so we got one. Just fold it in the Scotch tape. Oh, it's about this long so far. Just keep. I know.
There are some research facilities now that are trying to accept it. Like, if anyone gets a tick on them, I'm not sure exactly. Like, if you Google it,
Right.
you'll find it. But if you get a tick on you, put it in some tape and send it out to these research facilities because they're trying to figure out like the percentage of ticks that have Lyme disease
Right.
or the co-infections.
Julieann uses music and nutritional therapy to address a variety of conditions, including dementia, developmental disabilities, anxiety, and children who have been affected by the opioid crisis. Recently released a new album called Miss Julieann, Therapeutic Songs for Kids. How's it going?
Oh,
Kicking butt.
I love
It's kicking
Yeah,
butt.
it's
Love
kicking
it.
butt.
For more information, you can go to MissJuliann.com. And also with us today is Carrie James, back. Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Co-founder of a local CBD company called Clearly Better Days. You can find them on their website at clearlybetterdays.com or on Facebook or Instagram. But yeah, talking ticks, this has been something I've been screaming about to every politician that comes through here. Nobody's talking about ticks, or they talk about it's going to be a bad year. Hello, there's no education, there's nothing going on other than people being scared. And we're saying, come to New Hampshire and pick ticks off. I mean...
And that, and also the treatment of it, right?
Yeah.
So the treatment of Lyme disease in New Hampshire, we have a lot of people, other states, they have, they've made it mandatory for insurance companies to pay for the full Lyme disease treatment. And in New Hampshire, we don't necessarily have that kind of protection. So an insurance company can deny you for extended Lyme disease treatment if you're someone who has a persistent infection like myself.
Right. Well, there was New Hampshire legislature came out with something. It might have been the last session or the one before. All it was the language that said that when you went to see a doctor, they could give you this, and it said, please be advised if your test showed positive results, it may be a false positive, and sometimes false positives can be.
It just
negative?
Yeah.
It just said nothing. So if you don't have it, if it tested negative, you still may have it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, what does this mean to me? To me, it was more confusing than anything.
We should review quickly some of those myths around Lyme disease, and then we can kind of get into maybe how CBD might be really helpful for people with Lyme disease as well.
Have at it.
And before you start, though, I think it's important that Senator Dan Feltus was just saying how so many people are struggling to pay their rent. Hearing all of the expenses of somebody that has Lyme disease.
Oh God, yeah. You should see what I have to pay for.
That in New Hampshire is a very serious problem. I don't know that I can afford to get Lyme disease. I think I'm going to stay in my house.
Well, and I have said this to a few people, saying whenever you hear, and I know we can't do this, but stay with me for a second. When you hear Manchester or Nashua, we just found a mosquito that has Eastern equine encephalitis. We've got to spray. We've got to do something. Okay, that's great. We have ticks here 24/7 in all corners of the state.
And most of them have Lyme disease now.
And nobody's doing anything about it. But when you have the mosquitoes, all of a sudden now we're jumping through hoops. Oh, bigger picture, kids. Okay, we're talking Nashua to Plaistow to Salem to Pittsburgh to Conway, Clare. Ticks are everywhere.
Yeah.
But nobody's doing anything. We're just picking them off, pulling the socks over your. Yeah. I get the whole preventive thing, but it goes beyond that.
Right.
And nobody's doing anything.
So a couple really important things to remember is you don't need to have a bullseye to get a Lyme infection, right? If you find
because that's the sign that everybody is okay. I'm looking for the cervix.
So I never had a bullseye, right? So I never got a test, or I asked my doctor for a test because I had a weird bite on my arm. I had a fever, but he never tested me. He told me I was probably just had a virus or something. And I went 3 years undiagnosed with a chronic Lyme disease infection because of that, because I didn't have a bullseye.
Can you make Lyme disease go away, or does it stay in your body in some form
So
forever?
if you catch it right away, you have a very high chance of getting it. So if you see a tick that is bitten into you, and it's hard to, you'll know when it's been bitten in for a while.
Right.
It's really hard to pull off and it hurts.
Right.
Go to your doctor, take a course of doxycycline. Do not wait for a positive Lyme disease. That is, I mean, you got to do your own thing. That's fine. There are lots of herbs that you can do too that can kind of help boost your immune system. But from someone who's, had an active infection for 6 years
when
now.
When did you have it?
I think it was 2012, but I wasn't tested until 2016.
Right.
So
right, and by
you
then,
don't have it now? Have you been
no, I definitely still have. I'm about to have a PICC line put in, so I have to go on IV antibiotics for an indefinite amount of time.
That's what I'm wondering.
Because it's in my central nervous system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's super critical that you get on it right away, because if you're proactive, you have a much less chance of having a chronic persistent Lyme disease infection. Now, that being said, if you do take the antibiotics right away, there is still a chance that you may have a persistent strain of Lyme disease that continues on past the antibiotics. So if you still don't feel well, it's really important to go see a Lyme literate doctor. Don't just go to your primary care doctor. They probably don't know, right? You need to go find a Lyme literate doctor. We have many in our state. They're wonderful. You can find them online.
Okay. How do I know when I'm supposed to go? When you say when you don't feel well, what does that mean?
So this is what's so tricky about Lyme, right? It's like it disguises itself as so many other things. There's so many people I know who I've met who have just been diagnosed with having like fibromyalgia or something, or anxiety or depression.
Sure.
And for me, I first had arthritis. That was my big thing, and then it kind of turned.
I don't see the whole depression thing going with you.
Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, I had an active infection for a long time. I definitely felt down.
Yeah.
Really?
And then within like 24 hours of antibiotics, I was like, oh my gosh, the cloud lifted. I didn't even realize I had that there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you'd be really surprised. Other things are neurological symptoms. So nerve pain, tingling, numbness. For a while they thought I might have MS, but while looking through that,
Wow,
it
the
just looks
symptoms
more and
can
more.
be that close?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah, and it's just not clear. It's not
Wow.
like, okay, I have a certain kind of cough, I have Lyme disease. It's not that black
and
and,
that's
white.
what's so tough about it. So it's really important. Also, if you are negative on your Western blot test, that does not necessarily mean you do not have Lyme disease. There are a couple other tests that are more accurate than our CDC Western blot test. So there's one put out by Vibrant Wellness, and it's a tick-borne illness panel. So it does all the co-infections too. That one's very accurate because it does the DNA testing. So I found out exactly which strain I have. I happen to have the persistent
Of course you
antibiotic resistant. Like, I happen to have
Anything
that
worth
one,
doing
right?
is worth doing well.
Right, yeah. If you're gonna get Lyme, like really get it, you know?
right.
So do I just automatically assume that I have Lyme disease?
No.
I mean, is that the way I approach this?
No. I mean, like, I think it's also important to take other things into mind when you feel really sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I've also approached my heavy metals, right? I also had lead poisoning.
Right, yeah.
I
So
remember
that was
that.
something that could have been
Right,
keeping me sick. You also need to look at your diet and see if you have food allergies, food intolerances. There's a lot of things that can
Right.
impact your overall health. But those are important things to be addressing, as well as making sure that Lyme disease isn't
But not
necessarily
every
a factor.
tick has Lyme disease.
Not every tick, but most at this point do.
Is it most?
It's like 80% at this
I didn't think it
point.
was that high.
It's much higher now.
Is it?
Yeah. The UNH has some information on it. I don't know the
Okay.
exact number.
I thought it was still like 50%.
But while we have our CBD lady here,
I know.
I've got to say, from an active Lyme perspective, CBD oil has totally saved me from just my day-to-day living, right? Like, I can walk. I can sleep better.
There's your next commercial.
I don't know. I mean,
She
it's
just did it for you.
true.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's something that
Now,
it's
why?
not going to cure your Lyme disease.
Why is the CBD working?
So what it really helps most with is the symptoms. So it's not so much that it's fixing what the Lyme is causing damage on, but it's bringing your body back to balance. So your endocannabinoid system, which is what your CBD interacts with,
Yep.
is in charge of that homeostasis. And Lyme disease is a big thing that can really knock you out of balance in so many ways. And I think a lot of the ways that it pops up for people, like symptoms of MS, symptoms of, looking like fibromyalgia and all of those things, is wherever your body was out of balance is kind of where it goes to and really starts to cause you that damage. So CBD is going to help bring that all back into balance.
Can you just back up a little bit, and explain what CBD oil is? I know it's available at the co-op, but is it, again, is it just generic? There's a tube there of CBD oil, or there's different choices? A little bit more about CBD.
Yeah. So not all CBD is created equal. It comes from the hemp plant, industrial hemp. Industrial hemp is classified as anything that has less than 0.3% THC. My brand in particular, we actually take that little bit of THC out of there just for peace of mind. But really what it is those cannabinoids that are in there. CBD is short for cannabidiol, which is one of the major cannabinoids in the cannabis plant or the industrial hemp plant. It's huge for bringing that endocannabinoid system back online and getting you back to balance.
And particularly think about inflammation, right? That's a big word I think more people might know and understand.
Sure.
So what Lyme disease does, what the bacteria actually does is it kind of turns the dial on inflammation up to 10 in your body because it feeds off of everything that happens with the inflammation in your body. It kind of feeds off the destruction that occurs, right? I have all these autoimmune things going on, but that's really just my body self-destructing itself. But the tick bacteria kind of does that because it then feeds off of that self-destruction. So all this inflammation is really what's creating these symptoms. It's the inflammation. And so what CBD really does is it just helps turn that dial back to maybe 6, just helps bring it back down a little bit.
So it's not curing me. It's not making it go away. It's just making me deal with it easier.
Right.
Yeah, to get through it while you're going through serious treatment.
And,
right.
and this is you can buy it at the co-op. You don't need a prescription. But what about? I mean, can somebody have too much, or how is it? Does your packaging suggest how much to take? I mean, if you can dial it back to 6, a little bit more, and I'm dialing it to 2.
The thing about CBD is more is not necessarily better. So we always try to teach people to start low and work their way up to that therapeutic level. So with CBD, it's you really can't take too much. It's a very safe substance when it comes to that.
You just have a really good nap when you do.
When you say take, I'm consuming. It's not a
They're like
topical.
drops. Some people use topicals.
Yeah, there are
There's
many
different
choices.
different styles.
There's topicals. There's also like a tincture, a sublingual
Tinctures, yeah.
tincture.
Why would I use the topical as opposed to ingesting?
Well, it's really what you're looking for as far as relief. So if you are taking it internally, you're really giving that. Your immune system has a lot of receptors for the endocannabinoid system. So that means that the CBD is really working hard in that immune system, and then that's.
But if I had the inflammation in the knees, would it be ingest or would I put it
I
on
would
the
do
knees?
both.
For
Really?
most people,
Okay,
both
that's what
works
I'm
the
trying to
best.
figure out.
Yeah,
Okay.
for most people, both works the best. The nice thing about the topicals is in the moment, it's really easy to just put it on and get some that
Focused
discomfort
attention,
down.
right,
Yeah. But taking it internally really helps your body bring itself back into balance because it's so out of whack when it.
How
when
long
you're
does it
dealing with
last
Lyme.
before I have to do it again?
Most people, the taking it internally, like a tincture, most people would take it twice a day.
Oh, okay.
So, but it really depends on you. And getting back to your question, Greg, when it comes to dosing, we don't put that on our bottles because everyone is so different. We would rather teach you how to stop and listen to your body, how to start low and work your way up slowly so that you're listening to yourself. And that's kind of my favorite thing about CBD is that it really gets you to listen to your body, and when you're successful with it, you're listening to those little signals.
Is that guidance on your website? I mean, I can go to the co-op, I can take get some of your product, and then I go home and say, okay, I'm supposed to listen to my body. I'll take, what is the guidance there?
So we do a lot of workshops and things as well, but we do have a lot of research and things available on our website. And if anyone had a question on how to get started, we're very happy to help. So contacting our Facebook page or sending us an email, that sort of thing. We can.
Or the website at clearlybetterdays.com.
Yes.
Yes,
There you go.
and I love the name, by the way. CBD, Clearly Better Days, because, Julieann, that's what you're experiencing. It's
Better
clearly
days.
better days, yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking for better ones.
Yeah, well, I know, but you're on your way because
Absolutely.
of the CBD.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that was good. You figured that out.
Right.
CB.
All on my
I
own.
know. I'm
Yeah,
impressed.
pretty good.
Clearly,
All
he
right.
doesn't have neurological
Well, look.
infection.
You're hired. You're
We-
hired.
I've been sitting here just thinking about Greg. He gave us a teaser. We got to take a break so we can go back. I got to find out. I'm
we
wondering
go.
what this is.
There we go.
All right. We'll be back with Greg and the teaser right after this.
Leslie in the teaser.
All right, Greg. So what do we got? Greg?
Greg's gone.
Greg
Leslie.
is-
What do you mean Greg's gone?
He's
Tell us
behind
about
the
the
camera.
gluten-free deliciousness.
Man, he promises stuff and then
Well, I'm going to tease the teaser
Nice.
before I tell you about
Wait a
the
minute.
samples.
Here's a 70s throwback. Not to be confused with Teaser and the Firecat.
Cat
Stevens album. Yeah,
Okay.
All right.
So we do have the Rounded Up at the Register going on, which we've
Yes.
talked about.
Yes,
and next
yes.
month is actually really important because you're going to get to vote for the nonprofits of your
Nice.
choice whenever
Nice.
you round it up. So
Nice.
That's great.
yeah, so this month we're still doing, we're on track, I think, to do around 3,000, hopefully, for the Friendly Kitchen.
That's
In
great.
donations. And then next month it's the Crisis Center of Central New Hampshire.
Okay.
But when you round it up, you also get to vote for next year's
nice.
charities.
Right, that's awesome.
Wow,
so,
that is
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then sampling.
There we go. Tell me
we're
about sampling.
We're still have the gluten-free, sort of gluten-sensitive, friendly foods this month. So we have like gluten-free bagels. We have next week we're doing some cheeses and gluten-free crackers. So just alternatives
When
for
does
people.
this happen?
It's throughout the week, usually in the afternoons. But our schedule is posted on the website concordfoodcoop.coop/calendar, which also includes all the wine tastings we've been doing, which is really ramped up. So we have a lot of wine, mead, beer tastings. So the calendar has everything, including the gluten-free demos. And then next month, we're going to be doing dairy-free. So people who have
nice.
sensitivities to dairy will be featuring a bunch of different products that are alternatives for people. Even if you don't have a sensitivity, you can try it. A lot of people try it even though they're not gluten sensitive or dairy sensitive, and they're surprised. They like it better sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as gluten-free wine, right?
Yes.
There is?
Yes. I was learning about that.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's made out of
Yes.
grapes.
Yeah, I guess. But you don't think, I don't think about that.
Yeah, I don't either.
Gluten-free
but
wine.
Yes. So,
Wow.
yes. Typically, our wine and beer tastings are more just about the wine and beer, not
Well, yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
a
yeah.
dietary.
No,
but
and I get that.
like with the ciders, I mean, ciders are a great option for people who are gluten sensitive, and we do a lot of ciders and
Good point.
mead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so when are you next, you personally, doing
Today.
sampling? What time?
Today's Friday, so if you're watching it next week, it'll be irrelevant. But
Right.
today I'm there from 1 to 3. We've been doing gluten-free cookies.
Okay, 1 to 3. If you want to see Vanna White of the gluten-free
Seriously.
sampling, 1 to 3, Concord Food Co-op. There you go. Thank you, Vanna. Right here.
Yeah.
This is great. Julieann, Carrie, thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
If you're in the mood for real food, it's Concord Food Co-op.